Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you how to draft the Armhole Princess Darts bustier. So these are the curves I'm going to be using. You can use either of the two actually. So let's just get right into the drafting of the pattern. So now you can see the pattern paper I am using. I have gone ahead to point out the vertical measurements. So for the bust points of this client is 9.5. You can see me labeling it, so just go ahead and label your own vertical points. The next point I labeled is the under bust, which is 13.5, and I also went ahead to label the waistline, that is the shoulder to the waistline, which is 17.5. so you go ahead and measure your own client or your measurements, and you do it the same way I did. So the next point I marked was the shoulder. So you mark the shoulder was 15, so you divide it by 2, which is 7.5. And you need to get a point called the chest line, which is also the armhole depth, where your armhole is going to sit. So you're going to measure that point and you place your shoulder measurement on that point. So to get the armhole depth, you can either measure it on your client or use the calculation that is you use your bust point divided by 6, then you add 1.5 inches to the measurements. So my round bust measurement was 36. So you divide that by 6, that gave me 6 plus 1.5 is 7.5. So that point is from the shoulder to that point is 7.5. So that's where your armhole is going to sit, and that is also where your round bust measurement is going to be taken. Please take note of all these things that I am stating because you're going to need them later. So the next point I marked was the shoulder slants. From the shoulder point I used 1 inches down, and I also went ahead to mark the neckline. So this neckline is just for, it's the basic neckline. So if you want to alter the neckline later, you can go ahead and alter it. So for my basic neckline, for a small bust client, maybe around 36, 34, 32, I like to use 2.5 by 3.5. so I went ahead to mark that, and once I was done marking that, I'm going to be connecting the point on the neckline to the shoulder slant. Remember, we came down 1 inch from our shoulder. So please take note of all this. To get a perfect princess bustier, you need to take your time. You don't have to rush, else or your drafting will not meet, it will not align. So just take your time. So you divide the shoulder, the remaining points of the shoulder, you divide it by 2, and on that point you go in 0.75. So the reason you're going in 0.75 is because you have a lot of excesses on the armhole, so you want to remove all those excesses. That's why you're going in 0.75 on that point. So you connect it like that to get your armhole. So you can see the way I use the curve to do that. So just do your own the same way, like that. So the next point, which is the most important thing you need, is the bust span measurement. You call it the nipple to nipple measurement, whatever you call it, get that point. For this client, the nipple to nipple measurement is 9 inches. So you're going to be dividing that by 2, which is 4.5. So you mark 4.5 on the bust line. You mark 4.5 on the bust line, but when you get to the under bust line, you remove 1 inches from that measurement, and also on the waistline. So on the bust line, you point 4.5, then on the under bust and the waistline, you point 3.5. So that is why you have that curve. I don't know, from my videos on Facebook, you'll be asking me, how did you do it? This is how I do it. So that's how you have that slant like that. So the under bust and the waistline is already having some kind of tightening already without even tightening it. So it's already having some tightening. So that's how that is like that. So once you're done with that, you're going to be connecting the midpoint of the armhole to that point like that. Make sure you don't have sharp points. So just connect it like that, the way I did it. So once you're done connecting, that is the mid part. So now we're going to be working on the sides. Please take notes, because I did this video specifically because of my Facebook family. Like, they're always asking me, how did I draft this, how did I draft it, and I don't always have that much time to start drafting. They don't understand that this thing takes time. So please listen carefully. So now on that bust points, depending on your client's round bust measurements, you can do 1.5, you can do 2, you can do 2.5. I don't like to go too much because I'm still going to be adding a bust start to this. So for this client, I did 2.2 inches. So you mark 2.2 inches on the underbust and you mark 2.2 inches on the waistline as well. So now you're going to be shaping your bust to your underbust. This is also very important. So before I shape, I'm going to be going in around 0.1 inches on that bust line area to get a good shape, because I don't want it to be pointy. So once I go in 0.1 inches or 0.2 inches, I'm going to be placing my curve like that. So you need the rounded part of the curve to get this right. So once you can see the way I did this. So once I have done that, I'm going to be connecting it to the armhole. Now you want to tighten your armhole as well. You don't just want to connect. You need a dart at that point as well. So I'm going to be going down 1.5 inches from that first armhole curve. So that 1.5 inches that I went down, so is that point that I'm going to, shape my sides to. So you can see the way I am placing my curve. So you place it and you make sure you get a rounded shape. This is very important. It's what you shape there that you're going to get. So just take your time. So you can see I didn't stop on that armhole point. I went outside. The reason you're going outside is if you leave it like that, the mid and the sides, they are not going to meet. So you come out 1.5 inches on that point. So when you come out 1.5 inches on that point, that's the point that side is going to stop. So don't worry about it meeting. You can be asking me, is it going to meet? Is the mid and the side going to meet? They are going to meet. Don't worry. We just do it the same way that I'm doing in this video. So now I didn't shape the armhole there. I'm going to be reshaping the armhole later. So now what I'm doing here is you're going to get your round measurements. So on that chest line, remember I told you you're going to be getting your round bust measurement on your chest line, not on the bust point. So once I do that, my round bust measurement is 36 divided by 4, that's 9. So I marked that point, and I also did the same thing on the waistline. So once you mark your round waist measurement, the client's round waist is 30 divided by 4, that's 7.5. So once I marked that, I added the dart intake that I took, which was 2.2. I added it. So once I added it, I just connected the chest line to the waistline. Please note that I did not measure on my underbust. So once I finish connecting it now, I'm going to check my waistline if the measurement is correct. So you see the way I'm checking it, just place your tip rule like that to the dart intake, then you place the measurement you get on the second dart intake and you measure. So once I measured the underbust, I realized that you will see that you still have some excess. So I had like 0.2 inches excess when I measure my underbust. This happens when the client's underbust is smaller than the waistline for this particular method of drafting the preset dart. So it happens like that. So when it happens, you take what you have left. That is, for this I have around 0.2 inches left, so you put it on the other side. This is also just to tighten your underbust very well. It's also in line with tightening our underbust, so that by the time we are done drafting this pattern here, the way it's going to sit under that underbust, you say you not believe it. So just try this pattern the way I am doing it. So once I am done doing that, I'm going to add my bust darts. Yes, you need a bust dart. if you have been running from bust darts, you need it. So you are going to add a bust dart to this. So you can see I went down 2 inches from the bust point. I am going to connect it like that. So you see this bust dart here is a game changer in bustiers. Like it's going to give you a more rounded shape on that bust part. So when you had this bust dart, by the time you close it in, that bust part is going to be more, it's going to be more copy. It's going to give you a more rounded bustier shape. Do you get? So that is why you need this bust darts for this pattern. So you can see I've added the bust dart. So now this is how you're going to be closing the bust dart. You need to close it and you're going to be reshaping, because when you close the bust darts, you're going to be reshaping. There's going to be some parts that are not, they're not going to align again. So you are going to reshape it. Please, I'm using a hard cardboard for this, so it's making it hard for me to close my bust darts quickly. But just close your bust darts, close it. So once you close it, you're going to just take your time and close it. Once you close it, you're going to be reshaping. So if you don't understand this process of closing and opening bust darts, you can try I have some videos on my page that I did early last year, so you can try to check them out. Some basic patterns, how to draft a basic bodice. I explained in detail the process of this bust darts closing and opening and all that. But if you follow this video, you should be able to understand what I am saying. So now I have closed the bust darts. So you can see when I close the bust darts, you can see the gap on that under bust. You can see that gap, you see that gap is added darts. So that dart is more than what we've already added. So it's going to give it more tightening on that under bust area. That is what I was saying in my videos, in my captions, that contouring, when you contour very well, you're going to get a good shape on your bustiers. So now I'm going to be, you can see that side that is not aligning again once I close that bust dart. So you're just going to be reshaping it like that. So once you reshape it, you can now go ahead and cut. You can see that I reblend that the pointy part on the bust is not so pointy, but just so go ahead and reblend it. So once you reblend it, you can now cut. So the first part I cut was this side, no, was the mid part, sorry. So once you cut the mid part off, you're going to be cutting the shoulder, and you're also going to be cutting the neckline. But please take note that there are some necklines that you need to do tightening. You even need to do tightening, but that is for a later class. So now I've cut the mid part. So now you need to cut the armhole. So I left the neckline like that because I'm going to be adding a different neckline to the pattern. So the sides now, you can see I just went ahead to close the bust dart very well, and you're just going to be cutting the sides like that. So just watch the way I'm going to cut it. I'm also going to reblend the armhole, and you're going to see how I did it. If you have been running from mathematics, you can't run from mathematics when it comes to drafting of pattern, because you need to do a lot of thinking, and just it's not rushed. It's not rushed. Perfection is not rushed. So just take your time. Instead of trying out different patterns, just get one right and use that one. It's not hard when you sit down and practice. So here it is. I'm just erasing the first armhole, and this is the extended, that's the extended armhole there, and I'm just going to be cutting the sides like that. Please know that this pattern does not have seam allowances, so you're going to be adding your seam allowances after you've cut the pattern. You're going to be adding it on your fabric. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section, and if you want us to do this more frequently, please engage on the post. I'm going to be dropping how to draft the back pattern. Thank